Welcome back to JKLive. It's going to be a live one tonight with Wahome Bay woman rep Gladys Wanga. She's in the house. She's running for governor of Wahome Bay, by the way. If you didn't know, now you know. Yep. And right next to me is Kandara, Member of Parliament Alice Wahome. She's staying in Kandara, unless she's picked by somebody to be a running mate, maybe?
Maybe. You never know.
You never know. Okay, ladies, welcome to the bench.
You watch and pray.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today, OKA signed a partnership amongst themselves. Okay, making it like the third coalition so far. There's OKA, there's Kenya Kwanza, and Azimio la Umoja. Okay, your thoughts on OKA first, Mesh?
I think they have to move forward, you know, after the grand betrayal by Musalia. You know, it's like by Musalia and Weta. I think it's important that they have moved on and they are continuing and they're growing strong. And you know, Jeff, you know, after, you know, during NASA, we were always told, you know, ODM is betraying us, ODM is betraying us, and Musalia was very loud always, ANC, ODM is betraying us. Now we found the real betrayer. And this is a person who knows he's going to marry another wife, but invites everybody else there for them to discover. You know, you ought to have the courtesy to tell your partners that, look, this is the direction in which I'm moving, so that the kind of thing we saw, you know, at Bomas doesn't happen. So I'm glad that OKA is soldiering on. They're bringing in new partners, and they're moving and they're charting their path, and hopefully, you know, our paths meet as we move into the future. Yeah,
I'll get to Bomas in a moment. Mahesh, I saw you smiling there when you heard the word betrayal. What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, I'm glad that the jolting by Musalia Mudavadi has made them move. You know, they kept on going to a meeting after a meeting, when they go to a meeting to plan and the next meeting. But now, at least there is some action. Although I hear like they didn't finish, they just gave intention. You know, intention, Jeff, is different from the actual memorandum, the actual agreement. And I'm surprised Gladys is talking about betrayal, because all of them, Ford Kenya and ANC, are talking about trust deficit by their former partners. And their former partners were NASA partners. And the leader in that whole group was her party leader. So I think we need to be very, very candid. I think betrayal is in that whole group, has been there. But of course, their new partners also have betrayed others. They are not in any better position, because, you know, Jubilee has done nothing else other than betraying all those who supported the president. And the president has kept quiet. He's been the one cracking the whip. Everything that he has taken, the steps show that there is also betrayal within Jubilee.
Looks like Judas is everywhere in this script.
No. What betrayal is there in Jubilee? I mean, my question is, what is the betrayal? Where is the president's fault? You know, the president simply said, this country needs to move. We need to move from a place where we are fighting each other always to a place where we can reconcile. So he took a step, a bold step, that saved this country and made a handshake. Now, Alice's team thought, you know, this isn't right. We are the only ones who are supposed to be here. We are the only ones the president is supposed to talk to. Then they started walking away on their own. They went and formed another outfit and joined it. And now you see all of them shamelessly moving in yellow colors, written UDA, yet they belong to the Jubilee Party. None of them has had the courage to officially resign from the Jubilee Party, including the Deputy President, officially resign from the Jubilee Party, run on UDA, and come back to Parliament. None has had the courage. So when you're talking about betrayal, I think it's the Deputy President who has heavily betrayed the President. He has undermined the President. He's now out on the podium, abusing the very President, criticizing the very government in which he sits. And this one even, I don't know how Musalia is living with himself, because he is the one who said, you drive a government car, You sleep in a government house, you eat government food, your cooks are paid by, your drivers are paid by the government. That very government, when you step on a podium, you say how bad, how rotten it is. The president who made you his running mate, you stand on a podium, you face him, you insult him as you wish. Your foot soldiers insult him as you look and clap and smile. Really? That is the betrayal that I see. Because Jubilee was there, has always been there. But these guys, simply because they did not want the handshake, moved out. And Alice also speaks vaguely. You know, she didn't want to speak openly because what she's saying does not exist. About betrayal within the NASA coalition, there was no betrayal. We had a coalition agreement that if we got into power, this would be how things would happen. We didn't get to power. Now, there was nothing to share except seats in the House. If you look at seats in the House, for example, the minority leader in the National Assembly, the minority leader and the minority whip are ODM. Their deputy is Wiper, the other deputy is Ford Kenya. The commission has a Wiper. The commission in the Senate has an ANC, and so on and so forth. So really, the agreements as we had them were met. There was the political parties funding. We paid the political parties money to all the partners. Where is the betrayal?
Jeff, remember, let's start from there. The money was just paid the other day. When they felt now they needed them even more, or again to use them, use and dump. She cannot start saying that, you know, this money was supposed to have been paid in 2018, 2019, 2020. This money was just paid last year. Just when they now started talking about, oh, you know, we need to bring back the coalition, we need to strengthen ourselves. And the partners, you know, Wetangula and Musalia put their foot down. And they said, look, can you first, before we even start talking about another coalition, can we start first by delivering? You know, you cannot keep the whole cake. We went with you. And now here you are saying, oh, you know, you didn't have a president. The presidential candidate was theirs, all of them. But these people said, oh, you know, you cannot get money, you are not a partner, you know, you are not a political party. So, and you know, there was a coalition agreement. Let's also come to the fact that they are now, if you look at the words they are giving out and sending out, accusing Musalia Mudavadi of betrayal, saying how useless, how they were a baggage. You know, the other day I was in this studio with their SG. In fact, he's maybe one good reason why maybe Musalia and the rest left, because, you know, he has no kind word about a partner you think added value to your coalition, because definitely they can't say that there was no value. Nevertheless, at least he's safe where he is. You don't need a coalition agreement to keep a word. Jeff, your word should be your bond. You know, credibility and integrity. Okay. Let me just finish, because she talked quite at length. You know, she says that UDA are the members of parliament who are working with William Ruto. We did not start working with William Ruto from nowhere. We started working with Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto because we are members of Jubilee. Even today, I'm a member of Jubilee. But of course, I have now another political home because we were thrown out. You know the words and the messages that our party secretary general has been doing. They have written letters. We are not in government. We have given them space. We are okay. Then they must also carry the baggage. You know, the baby, the baggage, everything is theirs. When you look at the handshake, you could have thought it was innocent. The president always said, it's not about 2022. You know what, Jeff? Look at all the steps and the chronology of the, you know, the event, the way the events have happened. Now they are talking about Jubilee and ODM as the key partners for Azimio. What other betrayal are you looking for? You went to hunt for votes to form a government, and your deputy president is no longer, you know, a key player in that government. You cannot lie to everybody. You may lie to others. You may tell others, no, oh, it was an innocent handshake, but your actions speak louder than what you are saying.
Okay.
And therefore, we are not apologetic. We're not crying anymore. We believe that we will form the next government, and we are happy to go ahead with William Ruto.
And you come back and you insist that Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula leaving was a big betrayal on your part.
Not on our part. I just said, you know, they were in Oka together, but they left without notice. And that's why I consider they mistreated and disrespected the people with whom they were in Oka.
Maybe they felt mistreated. Maybe they felt disrespected.
But they should have discussed. as Oka and said, look, Jeff, you're my friend, we've been here. If it's honest politics, you say, we have been here, we've been talking, but I have been, making other arrangements with so-and-so and what have you, and therefore, this is the step I'm going to be taking. And then they would agree. And then these other leaders would decide whether that is a step they want to be part of. But the kind of embarrassment Musalia faced in Bomas that day, of his partners walking out on him, and then his MPs walking out on him, and now he's left with a shell there. And listen to Alice. She just said, we are moving forward with William Ruto. This is because UDA does not believe in coalition building. They do not believe in togetherness. They believe in a one-man show where William Ruto is the leader, Alice and the rest of them are a cast, supporting him. And if you see how much they fought the coalition laws that we were trying to bring in Parliament, actually they never imagined that they were going to ever enter into coalition.
Okay.
The other worry...
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll get to you in a moment. Let me ask you real quick before I forget this. What is the relationship with bringing in Musalia Mudavadi and ANC? What does he bring to your table? To the
Musalia Mudavadi, first and foremost, he's a Kenyan like any other. He is, he's a major partner, a political player in this country. And you cannot, unless you are out of your mind, you cannot write off Musalia and Wetangula. We've just come from Bungoma. The havoc we have caused to ODM there is huge. They are bleeding, and they will continue bleeding. I think there is a whole huge community and voters that believe in those two, and they know it. When you look at, even in my own county, Musalia has followers. Wetangula has followers. They will lose Bungoma, they will lose Trans Nzoia.
Kandara.
Let me hold on. Oh, yes. His Secretary General, if you didn't know, maybe I could just jog your memory, comes from Muranga, Simon Gikuru. He does have agents even in our places. So, but let's just say, Musalia Mudavadi...
Is he the running mate of William Ruto?
You are taking me too fast. Those are discussions. Those are discussions that are in the offing. But unfortunately, and I will disappoint you, Jeff, Musalia is talking about pesa mfukoni. We are talking about bottom-up economic model. We have a convergence of ensuring that this country starts thinking more about our economy than thinking about what are the positions available that we will share. I don't think he has that kind of insecurity. And at the right time, these are discussions that will be, because they are constitutional offices and we are going to fill them. There is no problem. And that is not a priority for UDA. You have heard us talk about that. Even now, they are thinking, oh, Musalia has come, he's taking the place of the Mlima Kenya. What? Mlima Kenya does not need a presidency right now. It won't work with everybody else to improve the economy of this country. That's our priority. We will talk about economy until they stop talking about sharing of positions. So Musalia, yes, is a major partner.
Even
Wetangula, and there will be others coming on board. We never said we will not do coalitions. Our party, UDA, is less than 1 year old.
I'm glad you mentioned Wetangula because we're kind of almost forgotten about him.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yes. But Jeff, listen to just the confusion in what Alice has said. Is Musalia going to be the running mate? No, we are not discussing power. Okay, so what's the business of UDA and all these alliances if we are not discussing power? The major intention of any political vehicle is to capture power.
I said positions.
No, but you see,
I said positions.
No, we don't want to. We want to talk about the economy. We don't want to talk about power. This is the hypocrisy that we must call out. People are in the business of capturing power for purposes of governing. And therefore, you asked a valid question that Alice should be able to answer. What is the arrangement? Is Musalia going to be the running mate? Because Mount Kenya needs to know. Because they've been told, this is a partnership between us. We are your principal. They don't know. And then there was so much jostling in Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is uncomfortable because if the position that they have wanted is going to be taken, they have to be uncomfortable. When they were uncomfortable, now I want Alice to just calm down. We are just beginning. She can't be. We are just beginning.
Warming up.
It's the beginning.
Yes.
Be factual. Be factual.
I'm just saying, stating facts as they are in the public domain. You realize that Mudama had to come out and state that there is no agreement.
Yeah, he says they're just friends.
There is no agreement. They're just in a friendship. Again, that caused a lot of discomfort on the other side. Mudama again came out and said, I was misquoted. That was not my intention. We are in the... So this is the confusion that has befallen UDA and their crew. And why is this? This is because, and you remember Alice said we are talking about the economy. And I want to state this fact. Azimio, as it were, the foundation of Azimio is the belief that you cannot achieve economic prosperity as a nation without national cohesion. If you do not have everybody on the table, and if you do not have people feeling like they are included, you cannot have that economic prosperity. You cannot achieve economic prosperity as well by just segmenting certain social classes and parts and raising them up against others. That's also another strong belief that we have. And therefore, that is why Azimio from the beginning opened up and said, we want partnerships. We don't want followers. These guys, on the other hand, said, we want one monolithic, with a single leader and a single party bringing together the whole country. The idea there was that we want a single leader. We don't want this idea that Alice can come up and also say, I'm also a principal in this party. Alice has to be subservient to another leader. And that is why they opposed coalitions. And that is why they are in total confusion.
You know why I think they are very misguided. They are looking for small gaps or big gaps. They are hoping, because the earthquake is still hitting them, and it will continue hitting them. Today, we hit them with this bill, the elections bill, that they were trying to bring a motion to reduce the public participation period of 14 days. Last week, we rejected, because of this team now, we rejected the House Business Committee because, the manner in which the leader of majority with them have been conducting House business is completely skewed to, to issues that are personalized, the political interest that they are trying to, to coach up very quickly. Like you want to bring an elections amendment bill today when you want to have elections in August. You can see those kind of amendments, Jeff. The period that we have, there is no time to start bringing a new law now. There is no emergency. Okay. So I want to tell her, they will wait for the collapse of this union. It will not happen. Because, by the way, these people are very inconsiderate. They mistreated Musalia. They mistreated Ford Kenya. You remember, Wetangula was thrown out of his position in the Senate. And he talked about divorce being painful and messy. That's what they are now suffering and going through.
But you still won't tell us what position, who's going to hold what position?
Jeff, I told you it's not a priority. We have not shared any positions, and we will not at this time until we are able to put in the documents with the information that we collected countrywide on the economic blocks. You remember?
I remember. Could Musalia Mudavadi be the presidential candidate backed by William Ruto?
Let me tell you, Jeff, by the end of this time, our period here, you will not get that from me. Ask me about what we are doing, how we are doing our memorandums, that will happen later. But we are busy putting our manifesto together.
Okay, how is Kenya Kwanza going to change the matrix? How will it change?
The matrix of what?
The 2022. The outlook. How will it change Kenya Kwanza?
Kenya, Jeff, let me tell you, when you are talking about 85% of Kenyans, either they are jobless, they don't have, work, they cannot put food on their table, their children are not going to school because they don't have school fees. We are having an economy that is now, kneeling down because of debt. We are going to be able to put in a very good document that will fix that. Our target is to ensure the 85% of Kenyans 85%, because the money around here is circulating around a kind of you and I, 15%. When 85% are struggling, we have to direct the investment, the energies into the 85%, starting from the bottom. And, you know, we intend to create more wealth, increase or widen the income base. Of course, with that income base widened, then you have a bigger income bracket. And we'll have enough revenue. Jeff?
It seems like that's what Kenya Kwanza says. Azimio la Umoja says the same thing. It's like the same thing in...
You see, you see, Jeff, Azimio, there is a point that she said, you know, Azimio la Umoja, she has told you that we don't believe, we will not be able to achieve economic reform because the country is not united, that we need cohesion. ODM should be the last person to talk about cohesion.
Okay.
After every elections, they will always ensure this country loses money, goes without work for 3-4. Remember the last elections, from December to end of March, people were not able to actually go to work.
They are
the last people.
I think Alice, unfortunately, is being very simplistic on this matter and trying to make it look like it's an ODM affair, and in any case, I am very surprised at the things Alice is saying, and because the party leader of UDA is Deputy President William Ruto. I want to ask Alice, what does William Ruto stand for? What has he stood for in all his years of public service? What is the one thing that if somebody mentions the name of William Ruto, somebody will tell you? It will probably be corruption, and right now it will probably be wheelbarrow. And therefore, somebody with that kind of record, a record of broken promises, where are the laptops? Where are the stadia? Where are they? The things that he stood up to talk about. What promise has he kept? What has he done for this country? What is the one thing? He's been in public service. Since he left university, he has been in public service. What is that one thing that is his legacy to date? Because now he's telling us about people being jobless. 2013, he didn't know people were jobless. 2014, he didn't know people were jobless. 2015, he didn't know people were jobless. 2016, he didn't know people were jobless. 2017, he didn't know people were jobless. He came back and told us about 1 million jobs a year. Where are those jobs? Jeff, Kenyans might look to this Tanga group like Kenyans are fools because they are cheering there. But Kenyans will ask tough questions. Where are the promises? Where are the kept promises? Secondly, when he had half of government, in 2013 to 2017, for example, what were his appointments? Were they not just surrounding a single community? And therefore, this is the person who is now standing on the stage to give you fresh promises. He has not kept his former promises. I want to tell you about Raila Odinga and Azimio la Umoja. Raila Odinga has a track record. He fought for devolution, and devolution is here. He has been fighting for us to build up devolution and to bring it to 35% through BBI, which Alice and their team opposed. Raila Odinga has stood for gender equality. He has come to Parliament when we were trying to pass the gender bill. He has promoted women in his own party. And Raila Odinga, even when he was in the coalition government together with Kibaki, they started free primary education. The kind of roads they did, electrification, this rural electrification we are talking about a person who has a track record. And now, based on that track record, he is speaking to Kenyans from a place of knowledge. Raila Odinga believes that you cannot grow the economy by a policy that segments only a certain part of that economy. When you're talking about Boda Boda and Mama Mboga, you must also talk about teachers, you must talk about civil servants, you must talk about business people, you must talk about how you're going to promote this economy and bring everybody up together. Raila Odinga is speaking about a strong social protection program. He is saying not just a few 70-year-olds will be in a social protection program. He is going to bring everybody above 70 years to earn a stipend of 4,000 a month. He is going to bring every family that is vulnerable to a social safety net of 6,000 shillings a month. He is going to bring 1 million people with disability into from the 46,000 who are earning a stipend currently into a stipend program. He is going to put village elders into the Ngao program so that village elders who are earning nothing currently can earn something. He is going to bring Baba Care, which will ensure universal health coverage for every Kenyan. And when he speaks about this, he is going to bring free education from elementary to university. When Raila Odinga speaks about these things, Kenyans believe him. Why? The promises he has made in the past, he has kept.
Okay, and I know you want to answer that question. I know you
know, Jeff, you know, if somebody listens to Wanga, they will think you are talking about a very, very serious person. From the beginning, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, if you ask the ordinary Kenyan in this country, they will tell you he's the father of violence. He will tell you every time after elections there is conflict because he will either reject the elections, he will ensure that he goes to the streets, and he will ensure that businesses don't run. If you go back to 1982, you will find that the single name that appeared, the political single name that appeared, was also of Raila Odinga. If you go to rallies, you will find that his rallies are ever accompanying violence, you know. And it is unfortunate because even the young people do not want to throw stones. But you see, it is like a culture. And that culture is tolerated. Today, if you ask majority of those people who have rejected to vote for the Honorable Raila Odinga, they will tell you they are scared of him. And now he is coming with a Baba Care, social welfare. This country doesn't need social welfare, Jeff. This country needs to create wealth. And that is what they don't want to hear. 6,000 shillings. We cannot today afford to give Kenyans, you know, the elderly, 70 plus, 2,000 bob. They are waiting for 3-4 months. We have no medicine in our hospitals. We do not have sufficient money to pay for children. And we know in our constitution we have said basic education is actually a right. You know, university students are going home. They are staying home. They are being sent home. What is she talking about? Where are they going to get 6,000 shillings from? Create wealth first. And that's what William Ruto stands for. Go to every ministry he held. You know, you will know that the agriculture ministry made huge steps in terms of even, you know, ensuring fertilizer is available. Policies that he came up with today, if we were implementing them, we would be very far. Go to Ministry of Education. William Ruto was there. Did he not leave a legacy? He first breached the gap of the students that were waiting for over 1 year. And he came up with that, you know, the country was struggling because students were staying 1 year home. He came up quickly with a solution, policy decision. Today, the message he is talking about is resonating better because people are saying, we want money in our pocket. Show us how to create that money. Don't tell us that we wait for 6,000 shillings. I mean, look.
All right.
I would rather... So Jeff, hold on. I was very, very specific. And you listen to the things Alice is saying about what is crippling this. And I just want to point out...
I want you to hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought because I want to take a quick break.
No problem.
You guys... I know you have a lot to say and plenty more.
We will hold the thought. Smoke. We are still around.
Like you said.
Because the lies won't fly. The maize scandal in the Ministry of Agriculture. Have we forgotten? You think Kenyans have forgotten the violence she's talking about?
If you want us to talk about that, we'll talk about molasses, we'll talk about Kazi kwa vijana, we will talk about KEMSA today. Their teams, including Junet Mohammed, serving in their top levels.
A big lie.
And I can bring a whole list.
I think the fire extinguisher should come out today.
They ate all the KEMSA money. I'm not sure Wanga was there, but...
when we come back, we'll talk about
Wanga.
You start throwing people's names.
No, Wanga.
And I will come back and say something.
We have the list. We have the list.
It's a break.
We have the list.
In a moment.
And Baba has said nothing.
To Jeff Kanange live here at Citizen Television. Homa Bay Woman Rep Gladys Wanga, Kandara Member of Parliament Alice Wahome. My goodness, this show's already fire on its own. I tell you, if you're just tuning in, you don't know what you've missed, but let's keep going. Ladies, let me ask you real quick. The campaigns are really getting ugly sometimes. Candidates referring to each other with such ominous names like Mwizi, Mtu Vitendawili, Mganga, all those. Why is that? Why does it have to get so personal? Let me tell you, Jeff, and if you have watched the Azimio campaigns and Baba speaking, he has stuck mainly to calling out corruption and where it sits. By the way, what does UDA say about corruption? Nothing. When corruption is caught, they say they are being targeted.
Well, that is
he has articulated his agenda, and very, very well. And Jeff, what astounds me is the bitterness that comes out of UDA campaigns. People are so bitter. It's like it's a coalition of bitterness. And the reason I'm afraid is the pattern it's following is a pattern similar to, the very eccentric and cynical and angry campaign that Donald Trump conducted in the U.S. And you saw that when he got into power, the U.S. almost went onto his knees. And I'm really worried. And, even my sister Alice here is very smiling, in the past. These days, she keeps a frown. Even on the other day on social media, they were saying, is Alice Wahome 77 or is it Enriga? The bitterness is heavy. And Kenyans must be worried because how you run your campaign determines how you run the government.
Okay.
If it's a one-man show, it will be a one-man dictatorship. If it's bitter, we will see arrests, we will see disappearances, we will see. So this bitterness has to stop.
Okay, Mesh, are you bitter?
I'm not bitter. What does she mean I'm bitter? Bitter about what? They are worried and panicking that right now the masses in this country are listening and waiting for a revolution, an economic revolution. You see, they have lied to Kenyans very many times.
Who's they?
Whenever her party leader loses an election, he must look for a way of getting into government. He did that in 2007. 2013, I think he found that it was not possible, but of course he went to court. 2017, he went to court. Eventually, he declined to enter into elections. You see, Jeff, we must also be able to be candid. Wanga here was one of the staunchest critics of Uhuru Kenyatta. Today, she will sing and dance a song for Uhuru Kenyatta because herself, she's now the chair of finance.
But vice versa, you were one of the biggest supporters.
You remember, no, Jeff, we are talking about the work we did ourselves. The government they are now enjoying is the sweat of other people. Why should we even be smiling with them, by the way?
That's the bitterness.
You cannot look for a government and then people come through the back door and expect that you don't have even the right to speak about it and to even protest about it. And therefore, she will recall in Kibera the words that she told Uhuru Kenyatta. And I cannot repeat them here. But she knows what she said in a public rally in Kibera. This same person. And for that reason, she actually suffered and was unable to become a commissioner in this particular term like she was last term because there was a veto somewhere. Now, when you look at Miri Othiambo in Parliament, remember how they paralyzed Uhuru Kenyatta's State of the Nation address in the last term, pouring water. So when, these people have no moral authority to preach to others about peace. By the way, we are peaceful. We are always sending those messages, and it is important that Kenyans hear that we shall conduct a peaceful campaign. Right now, they are hoping the deep state will help them to steal the votes. They all along thought that, Uhuru Kenyatta's votes in 2017, 2013, Mwai Kibaki, were influenced by the deep state. How do you come to that conclusion when you know that 2017, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto had about 172 members of parliament? They had 82 members of parliament. So if we talk about bitterness, these people caused a war within Parliament and outside Parliament, the streets eventually ending up in Uhuru Park to forcibly swear Raila Odinga, and then leave Miguna suffering in Canada. And today, if Uhuru Kenyatta, by the way, that time, Uhuru Kenyatta, I think an angel must have spoken to him so that no police were sent to disrupt the swearing in, you know, for His Excellency, Raila Odinga. That would have been the worst bloodshed. They don't care about bloodshed. Jeff, so let her not talk about
Jeff, I think
bitterness.
When I spoke about bitterness, you have seen it. Kenyans have seen it. We fought for a government. Some people have come to
what? Yes, we did.
Well, that is that is the source of bitterness. So I wasn't lying. It was factual. And Kenyans have been able to, Alice has demonstrated to Kenyans that they are bitter, and she has also gone ahead and explained why they are bitter. I take responsibility for my actions in the last regime. We were opposing each other. And when you are in political opposition, sometimes words are spoken. Sometimes things are done. But then the difference is, do you have the magnanimity? Even Uhuru and Raila, they spoke words against each other, but they had the magnanimity to shake hands and say, my brother, the things that we said in the past are in the past. Let us now look for the future of this country. My fear is, are the Uda team, with the kind of bitterness they have displayed here, because I'm chair of Finance Committee. Chair of Finance Committee, it is not written anywhere in the Constitution, neither is it in the standing orders under the current Constitution, that a person from the minority cannot chair a committee. Committee elections are held within the committees, and of course the parties participate, and somebody is elected. But now Alice is bitter because Wanga, who was opposing President Uhuru, is chair of Finance Committee. She should just be magnanimous to say, once a government is elected, it is a government for all Kenyans. And therefore, all of us have room within the government. But you see, the kind of bitterness she has displayed for a government in which we are not, because where is the single minister appointed by Raila Odinga in this government? Where is the single even anything? So the bitterness is just because somebody else is facing anything. Because according to the UDA philosophy, only a certain group of people, and I already mentioned it with William Ruto in the first term, you saw, only a certain clique of community was taken. Only a certain group should, and when that doesn't happen, this bitterness arises. It's not just Alice. The danger is it's even with her party leader. And Kenyans must be worried, lot. What if this bitter lot take over government? They will revenge. There will be vengeance. People will disappear. People will be arrested, and so on and so forth. And therefore, this is why we in Azimio have said, by all means, we are gathering all and scattering none. There is going to be a movement that is going to take Kenyans to the next level. And we are clear on our issues. We know we are an anti-corruption movement. When Alice talks about robbed opportunities, it's because, when she talks about debt, it's because of the kind of Aror Kimwarer kind of things that William Ruto defended publicly, and that is where we lost money. We are clear on our stand on devolution. Are they clear on theirs? Let me tell you why they are not. Because William Ruto has chaired IBEC. IBEC is the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council. I sat in it, representing the Parliamentary Service Commission. William Ruto was always the first to say, reduce allocation, reduce allocation. He chairs that IBEC up to today, and devolution is struggling. Therefore, their stand on devolution is not clear, and that is why you saw 35 governors supporting Raila Odinga. Why? Because in their minds, they know Raila Odinga is the father of devolution, and he's clear about what he wants to do about devolution. Okay. Raila Odinga is clear on how he's going to protect the constitution that he fought for. We can be sure William Ruto will dismantle the constitution that he so opposed.
Okay. Jeff, for the last 4 years...
Hold on. He's not here to defend himself.
I think so. I think so, yeah. But for the last 4 years, this country has done very little other than the BBI, change the constitution. One of the reasons that we cannot be happy with the manner in which the government has been run is because there was a manifesto, Jeff. And if you go through the manifesto of Jubilee, there was nowhere we had said we shall then partner as a government with the opposition. And the failure to partner or lack of that partnership does not mean you will not serve Kenyans. You know, a government is formed for the whole country, but the opposition has, in our governance, you know, because we are a democracy, we have a constitution, we have the laws, and they know they are a minority party. And therefore, their roles are very clear within the constitution, not to come and sabotage the government. And I don't understand how actually His Excellency fell into that trap, because for the last 4 years, his Big Four agenda has collapsed because they have been singing and dancing and doing all manner of illegalities as it was found by the High Court and the Court of Appeal. They are now hoping the Supreme Court will come like an angel and deliver the dead BBI. We are waiting as Kenyans, but they should be telling us why the BBI and what can they not do today without a BBI. Devolution, Jeff, our constitution talks about 15% being the minimum that you should give to the counties as an allocation. Today, she's in finance. Her colleague, Kanini Kega, is in budget. Why, from the time the BBI looked like it may not work, even when we were trying to move along with it, at least they could have brought the budget last year and this year and give the 35% they are talking about. Some of these things are administrative, you know. So you know, tusidanganyane, let's not lie to Kenyans. The many things, several things that were in the BBI, including the boundaries. We can do boundaries without any change of the constitution, because they talk about increasing money for the counties. But we can do boundaries today.
Jeff, you know,
hold on.
It may not work between now and the elections, but there's nothing that stops the IBC after doing the elections to drop boundaries afresh. But you see, you don't have to sneak boundaries without Kenyans publicly participating and agreeing that these boundaries are okay. You know,
Jeff, what Alice is talking about boundaries, and let me start there.
Without getting too much into the, you know, the
details, mathematics.
Yeah, too much of it, right? The question is, Mahesh here just said the handshake was a trap. That's what she says.
The handshake was what this country needed to move forward. But because UDA always saw this thing in the perspective of 2022, they saw it as a trap. How could it have been a trap? Raila Odinga is not in government. He's not calling any shots. William Ruto is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. He should serve his leader and boss faithfully. But he decided that 2022 was most important. So, Jeff, if you remember where the grapes are getting sour was when the president was very clear that I want to move forward with building my legacy, and I want elections to start, campaigning for elections to start a bit later. But immediately we hit 2018, William Ruto was on the campaign trail. And even though the president said no, he insisted and kept on and kept on and kept on. And now the presidency is elusive just because he had. Because when you agree, when you're in a government, and there must be a leader of a government, and in this case it's the president. The deputy president is not a co-president. He is the assistant, principal assistant of the president. And therefore, if he's the principal assistant of the president, he should, if the president says, slow down on early campaigns. In fact, the president had said, you just help me do the work. I might be the one to actually, when the time comes, campaign for you personally. But he didn't listen. And therefore, part started to go aside. And I wanted to say something about the 35%. And I'd already said about the chair of IBEC. If any proposals were made to increase funding for counties from IBEC, I want to see the record. It has never been made. I sat in IBEC myself for 5 years. There was never a day that a proposal was made to increase the money. And Jeff, human nature, if you're told this is the minimum, you're likely to stick to that minimum. And that is why there was need for a constitutional amendment to move it to a threshold of 35%. The issue Alice is saying about boundaries. Boundaries were, and if you look at the BBI, were meant to bring about equality of the vote. So that the weight of Alice's vote or somebody from Kiambu has the same, that vote has the same weight with somebody from another part of the country. And the way the delimitation was done, because the BBI was about correcting historical injustices, and it was all over the country because the views were taken all over the country. And people from certain parts of this country said, look, we vote, and in my constituency, I am voted by 400,000, I mean, 300,000, 100,000, 150,000 people. Another constituency is voted by 4,000 people. You sit in the same parliament with the same amount of CDF. Nakuru, just in the BBI, lost 5 constituencies. Kiambu lost a huge number of constituencies. There were constituencies that were meant, and the people who say are their representatives and their friends are the same ones who fought the BBI and sit here to say they protect them.
Okay, but...
You know, Jeff, dishonesty is very, it's a bad habit. And I think for some people it dies, it doesn't die quickly. She knows she's in the finance committee. Changing the amount of money that constituencies get actually is a matter of her committee and the committee on CDF, because we have 2 parliamentary committees on that, on monies, because the budget committee, there is also the CDF committee and the finance committee. Those 3 committees, working with the National Treasury, can be able to effect changes into how much each constituency is getting. The parliament is there available to do that.
Yeah, but she's not the only one. She's part of
that's why I say that is why I said she's the chair with Kanini Kega and the other, and I think Maoka Maore for CDF. Those 3 committees, together with the Treasury, are sufficient to make proposals and bring them to the floor of the House. And we allow CDF to be distributed according to the number of, the population quota.
Okay.
Then when you come to the question of CDF, the devolution that Baba prides himself in, we have the handshake. You have seen how when they are interested in things, they are moving there quickly, and they say they have the numbers. Bring the law. Then we pass. Actually, those are just simple proposals. Some of them are administrative. Today, we can budget for more. But because it was not meant to be, these were goodies and icing on the cake. The real elephant was the seat of the Prime Minister that collapsed so that the BBI didn't even have that one. Finally, Jeff, we were looking for 3 extra seats. Yep. The whole BBI was about 3 extra seats. Today, if they are serious and they have the money, we don't have the money, Jeff. We are broke. We don't have the money.
Yeah, but Jeff...
We don't have the money, so we can't afford 35%.
Let me say something about the constituencies, because the manner in which Alice is trivializing it is surprising to me.
I'm not
She knows that the formula for CDF has been worked out and the House has passed it. But what BBI was trying to do was not to deal with the formula for CDF, was to delimit boundaries so that there is equality of the vote. A constituency is not just for purposes of... a constituency is not just for purposes of CDF alone. A constituency means those people have now a representative. People now who are represented by 1 person are now going to be represented by 5 people. When the army is
let's deal with the money first. You see, Kenyans, Jeff, Kenyans can't even afford the number of members of parliament, Jeff.
She let you speak.
You see the numbers right now. We have 349 in the National Assembly. Instead of increasing members of parliament, because honestly, she can even represent the whole of Homa Bay. She is already representing Homa Bay. If she were given money as a member of parliament for Homa Bay, she can be able to tackle even representation. Some of these constituencies were even gerrymandered, and that's how they were created. They should be going away. We increase the money because, people are not looking for representatives. That's not where the problem is.
No, Alice is not letting me make my point because it's a valid point in this sense. When you have a constituency, you have a center for administration there. You have security closer to you. When KDF soldiers are being taken, they are taken at that constituency's headquarters. What is happening now, and I don't mind the size of the constituency, let it just be the same for everybody, so that there is equality of the vote. It is so important that one person's vote weighs the same as another person's vote. And that is what Kenyans spoke as historical injustices. Yeah. And therefore, I do not understand why Alice Wahome, who represents Kandara constituency and Murang'a County, and who is a leader of the Central Kenya, would reject 20 constituencies going to Central, so that their people would access services closer. so that their people would get more bursaries. Some constituencies can give bursaries up to university level. Other constituencies are giving 3,000 to every person. Equality of the vote is an important principle that Alice and their team killed in the BBI.
About? Okay. Administrative boundaries, one constituency can have more than one sub-county.
Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah. At the end of the day,
at the end of the day, can we afford?
Didn't reggae stop?
Yeah, it stopped.
Reggae paused, so reggae paused.
It stopped.
Reggae is on halftime, and reggae shall be back.
Does that mean BBI will come back in a way?
Reggae will be back, Jeff. Reggae will be danced, and this nation is here, and the benefits of the BBI for the people of this nation will be realized, because that was the voice of the people. And Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God.
If you're doing a constitution, Jeff, it is so critical and important that you don't appear like you are forcing people and you are saying it is a good thing for them. Ensure that participation and consultations of every other person, not key people, even key people were not involved, but every other Kenyan requires to be heard. Documentation was not available. There was no law guiding the documentation, you know, even the process. I mean, the whole thing was backward. We were just dancing. They were just dancing leggy. And that's why they found so many hurdles in court. Jeff, you know, and there were some good things, maybe one or two good things there. But you see, the way it was convoluted, including things that you did not need to go to the referendum, mainly because they wanted to create more positions so that they can balkanize the country. That's what they are looking for.
Balkanize the country, how?
Okay, on that note, we'll put, just like reggae is on pause, I'm going to take a pause, okay? And come back and talk some more about your individual interests as well. You want to be governor. We haven't heard much about that. Why? Why now? You think there's only been 3 women governors so far?
Yeah. And you know, more. Jeff, the book of Ecclesiastes talks about more. There's a time for everything, and it's a time for more women to be governors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
She has worked very hard. I hope Baba, you know, in their party, it's also a lot. Loyalty also is a very key thing. Eh?
Okay. What about you?
Sometimes you can easily get the certificate for free. But I know Wanga has worked very well, and I would really hope that she becomes the governor. We need more women governors.
You heard what she said about you, huh?
Yeah, I said I hope you deserve to get a high seat in your party because you defend it.
Actually, a lot of that is in the air. A lot of that is in the air. And why not?
She actually mentioned running mate.
Running mate, yes. Running mate. Jeff, I'm sure, give more women space, because even in here.
All right.
Yeah, and so in the government.
Okay.
In the party.
We're going to give you some space. Take a break.
Yeah.
JKLive. We'll be back in a moment. What a show we're having. Welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live. We are live here at Citizen Television with Wahome Bay woman rep Gladys Wanga on fire, as is Kandara Member of Parliament Alice Wahome. My goodness, you've made my work very easy today. You're just you are doing all the talking. And someone was asking you, Mheshimiwa Wanga, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Someone was saying, look, you talked about betrayal in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, betrayers and everywhere. When Baba left NASA to go and do the handshake, a lot of his fellow NASA members felt betrayed.
Yes, they felt betrayed. But why were there was no betrayal there? Because he simply went ahead.
But without telling them.
Because of the sensitivity of the issues at the time. And he came back to NASA and explained that these are the steps we're going to take in terms of bringing the country together. And that is exactly what the explanations he made. And they agreed. Remember, all these NASA principals supported the BBI. They all supported the BBI. I remember Mudavadi's signature on the board. I remember Wetangula's signature on the board. Because once they were explained to where we were going as a country and what this was about, they agreed with it. So they can't call it betrayal because they agreed with the basis and the foundation for the handshake, which was the 9-point agenda and which led to the BBI. And they signed, and they campaigned for it, and they ascribed to it. So I think I don't see betrayal in that context.
Mm-hmm. And to you, the handshake destroyed everything.
The handshake was a betrayal on both sides, you know. From their end, there was huge betrayal because these are your principles or core principles. You've been working with them, you campaign together, assuming that the ideology and the issues that you are working on are the same. And it's okay, you can be the person to be sent to go and negotiate, but have a meeting first. Don't go finish the business and then come and tell them. I think they had the right to feel betrayed. And I think it was obvious they were betrayed. And since then, things started falling apart in NASA. Until now, they are forming Azimio. When you come to Jubilee, it's the same. I think that the way Jubilee had conducted itself the previous term was completely not the same way this term has been conducted. And I have heard even William Ruto talking about it, and that he allowed the president, because that was okay. But it is the things that happened after the handshake that became betrayal day in, day out. Up to today, you cannot, this has never been seen in history, Jeff. A president...
Betrayal of whom?
It is not Jubilee. The Jubilee itself as a party. The party is completely now finished. I mean, we have just about 20 members of parliament, and we had 172 members of parliament. So you're betraying the people who voted for you because, you know, your actions are not being explained properly, are not being understood. I think the president has a lot to explain to the people who supported him and who voted for him. And we respect the president. But you see, you cannot go on, and every action appears that it is very negative, and you are not in cordial relationship with the people you were, working together cordially. And any discomfort in that high office becomes a discomfort to the country. And that's why maybe there was need for the handshake. However, after that, why do you now remove arrests from a committee? Why do you change things the way they were being done without explaining? Why do you not call PGs? Why is the party not functioning? Why is all this vitriol and strong words being sent to undermine your deputy? And I think it's all there in the public that the marriage is corrupt. We are in UDA, and Jeff, we are okay. We are at a good place.
You're ready?
Maybe it was bound to happen because in any event, there are people waiting for endorsement. Presidency is not about endorsement, Jeff. Presidency is about you going to the people, speaking with the people, explaining yourself, setting your agenda, and people accepting and buying into your agenda.
Okay, let's face it, both of you, none of the this so-called two-horse race, none of them can win or cross the finish line without the support of a further coalition, or let's say OKA, for instance.
We are planning to first round. We are winning first round. That's our plan.
With or without?
With or without any. We are, our first coalition partners are Kenyans, and that's why people misunderstood what we are talking about. And William Ruto is, has gone to Kenyans. Now, he has other partners that who have come on board. But our agenda was to partner with Kenyans, Jeff, with bottom-up economic model. That is our selling point. Now, we have a new partner, because they are working very well. They have been working very well with Musalia Mudavadi. They're talking about Pesa Mufukoni. When you look at it, it's really, again, talking about the ordinary Kenyan.
Okay. Jeff, Azimio is open for partnerships. Azimio is open for partnerships. We don't just believe in winning the election. We believe in carrying with us as many Kenyans as possible. And that is why Azimio is open. We will welcome all parties, big and small, all partners, not followers, not this thing of we are partnering with with Kenyans only because you want to maintain a monolithic single one-man show. We want Kenyans to come on board. We want parties to come on board. We want OCA to come on board. We want everybody to come on board so that as many of us as possible can cross that line together. And so that when we cross the line, we cross it not at 50+1. No, we cross it convincingly, carrying as many Kenyans as possible with us. So I don't want to be arrogant and chest stamp about how we are going to cross the line. What I want to say is that we are open for partnerships. This is the key pillar of Azimio la Umoja, and that is why it is called Azimio la Umoja.
Is Baba open to backing somebody like he did in 2002, the Kibaki Tosha moment? Is Baba open to that? Or does he have to be the presidential candidate?
Baba has announced his presidential bid. He will be running. He will be going forward, and people will come on board, and people will discuss, and people will agree. And Baba has said he's running for the presidency. And remember, Jeff, before Baba said he was running for presidency, he didn't just come out in 2017 and said, I'm running for presidency, like some people did. He consulted. He went around the country. And by the way, he said, I'm open. I'm free. This country is more important than any of us. I am open to not even running at all. But Kenyans said, Baba, please continue. Let us have that Mandela moment. Let us be in this safe pair of hands. You know, Jeff, this place where I'm seated is where Francis Atwoli was seated. And in his patriotic wisdom, he said, he asked the question, in whose hands are Kenyans safe? And more Kenyans have realized and are realizing and are coming to the agreement that we have a safe pair of hands in Baba, a leader who has demonstrated that he can actually look back, step back, shake hands, even with his worst nemesis, shake hands, shelve his ambition, ask for nothing about it, and put the country forward.
The think tank for Azimio, obviously, the first #1 think tank is Francis Atwoli, your good friend. The second think tank is Murafe. The third think tank is...
Why is she saying them like something is wrong with them?
No. Yes, the third and the fourth and the fifth.
Wrong with them.
I won't mention them, but they come from their county.
Go on.
And you see, these are people who meet in boardrooms, and they have been used to the old type of politics where they thought, they meet and they connive and collude and go to Kenyans and lie to them. So, and then they imagine that the whole community will now follow. Kenyans are at another level now. They want you to go to them. You don't have to be taken by those, those multi-billionaire clubs and whatever, Mount Kenya Foundation. So I can tell you, the last time Atwoli talked,
which is what
and it's good because she has talked about Atwoli. The last time Atwoli talked, obviously he lost a lot of votes for Baba, because the first thing he did is to threaten Luhya leaders, from Western, and saying that if you don't go to Bukungu, and these are elected leaders, treat people with decorum and respect also. They will not be elected. They can forget.
Okay, let me...
They go to Bukungu. So if they are relying on those kind of people to bring Mulima, let's say to bring Mulima and help him to climb Mulima, I can tell you he will Teresa tomorrow, day after, until there is no vote.
The way Alice is speaking, it's like he's speaking to an amateur in politics. He's not speaking to a political amateur. He is speaking about an experienced politician who people have written off many times, by the way, and has still emerged to be what he is. So, Alice talking about boardrooms like Raila Odinga or even Francis Atwoli. Francis Atwoli has been at the helm of the trade union for all the years he has. By the way, he has been going back and back and back. That is high voltage politics, including at global levels. You cannot speak about somebody like that as if he does not know how to look for his votes. If you want to know Look at the Western governors. Are they with the
governor?
No, I'm speaking, and Alice was speaking, and I was quiet.
She knows why the governors are there.
Just,
and she doesn't want me to say about it.
No. MPs. Look at the ones Musalia thought he was living with. They've mostly said they're in Azimio, even the ones from wherever else. So therefore, you've seen how the migration has been. So this story of he threatened Luya leaders, what have you. Politics is what it is, and the people she has mentioned here. And by the way, Alice today has mentioned so many people's names, including throwing in Junet's name under a KEMSA, non-existent KEMSA thing, and she should withdraw that statement.
But KEMSA is not existent.
Because it is not true. For you to throw someone's name
but
in a corruption
KEMSA
thing, and that then there's no proof for it.
Wanga.
Parliament has investigated KEMSA. I've never had Junet's name. DCI and all these people have investigated KEMSA. I've never had Junet's name. So to her to come to the show
I'll send you the name.
And speak about it until she brings evidence, she shouldn't speak about it.
Okay.
She was here talking about how William Ruto...
I just spoke about facts.
...should be talking about, or, should be maybe giving, evidence or saying what happened to Arwa and
But he spoke about it. He said
the way, you were saying he's responsible. You remember the DPP himself saying that that has nothing to do with William Ruto. Indeed, the investigations today have, how far have they gone?
He should give more.
How far have they gone? Wanga.
Those cases are still in court. The individuals aren't here.
This government of handshake has politicized all those cases, selective, application of the law, rushing.
Alice is running away from that real question.
He asked me, those cases are still in court. Yes. Not just those cases, Jeff. Many cases that were rushed to court. And have you had anybody on the handshake being taken to court?
No, but Junet,
so, all these governors, just wait until the term is over. All these governors behind Baba will find themselves.
All right, let me ask you, ladies.
The files are complete.
Now you are threatening them.
And I was in Justice and Legal Affairs.
Now you are threatening the governors who are supporting Baba.
I was in Justice and Legal Affairs.
This is what I told you exactly.
Go to
there
the Senate,
going to be vindictiveness. There is going to be. Did you hear what Ali said?
Go to the Senate. You will find
all these governors behind Baba. They will find themselves in court. What did I say earlier?
Yeah, because
anger, bitterness.
You see now,
the government is going to have vengeance.
See, Wanga,
arrest.
Wanga is rising against that because, but Wanga, criminal cases will continue to be investigated.
But why are you targeting certain people and saying?
Because we know. Because we know. Even they talk about it. Their files are complete, Jeff. A good number of them files are complete.
And you know this for a fact?
Oh, I know as for a fact.
Why aren't they in court or in jail?
Because that is what they are trading in to support Baba.
And this is straight from you. I mean,
Jeff.
That's speculation.
I'm a member of Parliament.
But we don't deal with cases. We don't deal with criminal cases in Parliament.
Information comes.
We do legislation.
Parliament. Oversight is in Parliament. And information...
Well, at least we don't see files.
The amount of information we receive, even from the public and the public servants, is a lot. Directly and indirectly.
So
how come we don't know this? How come it's not out there?
Because the government is using the criminal justice system to fight William Ruto. Who doesn't know, Jeff? You live in this country.
So let me ask you, Jeff.
You live in this country.
Let me ask you, Jeff.
How many of our members...
That's a very serious statement.
No, it's a true statement.
Has been charged in court with corruption, including taking land from a widow. Okay? He was even impeached in the Senate for those very evidences. And he has been charged in a court of law. So are you saying Ferdinand Waitito did not do those things? So why would you say Rigathi has been charged with all those...
Of course. Even
let me ask you.
They will charge Rigathi, they will charge Alice, they will not charge Gladys, they will not charge Junet, they will not charge Buddy because they are using the criminal justice system.
But we are supposed to be charged for what?
To intimidate, to harass.
What are we being charged for? We haven't told anything.
Some of the information, Jeff, incidentally, comes from the investigating officers.
About Alice Wahome, how come she hasn't been touched?
Yeah.
I don't have a file myself.
Exactly.
In fact...
If you don't have a file, you won't be charged. But if you have a file,
you must
be charged. if you have a file.
How do you know?
Jeff, those people who have been working with the government, and some are just partners or friends. You have even seen friends of members of parliament being taken to court jointly with them. And they have even been told, you leave William Ruto, we are going to release you.
By
who said that? Come on, that's an allegation.
But Jeff, it's not an allegation.
Are we just in a gossip place? She said,
give us an example. No.
She said Rigathi Gachagua has been charged in court.
Yeah.
Do you know Rigathi Gachagua?
But he's not here. He's not here right now.
He's my friend.
He's your friend.
He will not take any action against you or against me. Or against Lord.
Yeah, but let's not talk about him because he's not here.
Now, she's the one who raised the name.
I asked you about Alice. And you said there's nothing. And Gladys.
You know, Jeff.
Okay.
Where the problem with this country is that the truth has been rendered useless. And this country's levels of deceit and dishonesty and the way we have abused the law and impunity, we are back to the days of single-party system under handshake.
But you see, rhetoric,
under handshake.
What Alice is doing,
under handshake.
Rhetoric.
Yeah.
What she should do for the benefit of Kenyans is deal with specifics. For example, say, Gladys Wanga is supposed to be charged for ABC, but she hasn't been charged because she's in the handshake. But she's just rumor-mongering as far as this place is concerned. She's using big words, but nothing specific. Everything I have spoken here, I have substantiated by things that are already in court or elsewhere.
Gladys, is it the first time a government has taken people to court? Don't lie here. Is it the first time a government has taken people to court on trumped-up charges? Is it the first time?
I'm not lying about anything.
No. Is this the first time? I don't know. You remember? You remember? You are still in opposition.
Tell us.
But you are now in a what? By something.
You just said I'm lying.
By something. Gladys, Kenyans know. You will convince nobody. You better even accept that this government has failed. Certainly on the criminal justice system, the fight against corruption. Why have we not achieved, Jeff? It's because most of those files don't even have evidence. It's because they want us to stop supporting William Ruto, according to them. Once they take you to court, you'll be scared and run away. And true, some members of parliament will join our coalition, maybe by next week, third week. And they were worried because they know that they were trying to get files which don't exist. And police can take you to court. By the way, this DPP has been very good.
Sounds like
there are many files that he has rejected, that he has rejected and returned to the DCI.
We don't know this for a fact. How do we know? How do you know?
And the DPP...
I wish you would tell us.
The files...
The very DPP they have been fighting and saying is being used politically is the same one he's accepting.
We really have not been fighting DPP. It's the DCI that we have a problem with. You saw even like this case of the, let's not bring, that's another whole subject.
That's another story altogether.
It's a very long story.
Okay. let me ask you this.
The DCI is being fought for doing his work. Simple.
Okay,
The DCI is thorough. The DCI does his job. He does it well. And it can't be stomached. The DCI is fearless. Nobody is untouchable as far as the DCI judge.
You see, Jeff.
Okay. Let's move off that topic real quick.
I think let's move on. But if Azimio intend to win elections using the criminal justice system, because the system is available for them. They have even told some of our members of parliament,
but rumors, Jeff,
the ones who have been taken to court.
We cannot speculate. We cannot
the ones who have
just been like a rumor mill here.
We are not a rumor mill. I'm talking about my colleagues, Jeff.
Yes, let's talk about you, not your colleagues. They're not here.
I'm talking about my colleagues.
Okay. Women and politics. You have been in this game for a few years. Can the tone... Is the tone of women in politicking different from men? Can it be different? Can it? And the reason is, why aren't there more women?
The tone of women even now is much better. It's different. I think it is more reconciliatory. There is less violence in women units of elections. And I think that the women would provide a different leadership, even in terms of governance.
Yeah, but sometimes in Parliament, behave like the men, huh?
Yeah, because the field in there, you know, it can be toxic sometimes until even communicating is a problem, Jeff. But you asked me about women leadership. You know, already the women around, and you can see they are offering different type of leadership. But, you know, when it comes now to hitting the road, when the rubber mats meet the road, you know, the field has more men. The political field has more men than women. So you might now think it is a catwalk or a ladies' game and find that you are handling 10 men, 1 woman. So it becomes very difficult to appear normal or to behave normal.
Will that make it difficult for people like you running in Wahome Bay, in places like Wahome Bay? Does that make it difficult? Jeff,
it's difficult because the things women have to deal with, men don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
For example, you don't have to get married and leave your home and go elsewhere. I was born in Kisumu County. I'm married in Wahome Bay. I have a home, I have children, I have for every intent and purposes, my home, where I will be buried if I die, is Wahome Bay. But now it's a question of, you don't come from here, you don't belong here, go to another, so these issues are issues that put women at a disadvantage. And therefore, that is what necessitated the need even for affirmative action. And even political parties must look inwards and see how can we hold hands of women to get them to positions. Because the playing field, if we said the playing field was level, we'd be lying. It's not level. The playing field is tilted and it favors the men. And Baba says many times about how if a woman is running against a man, if Alice is running against a man in Kandara or elsewhere, you know, if you're married in there, then the man will say, this one I played with him in class 3. This one is the path we used to follow when we were going to the lake. This is the path we used to do what. And you have to come in and leave your family and all those your peers and come back and compete. It's not a walk in the park.
It's a displacement, Jeff. It's a form of, for a woman to marry in another county, which will happen and it is happening, and then you have to make that your home.
Yeah.
It's a form of displacement. Because like she has said, you have to get new networks, new contacts, new families, and therefore you have to first deal with that. And then for the campaign period, these people will start saying you don't belong there. Notwithstanding that you have their children, it's your home, like he has said, and before you were working and, you know, interacting with them.
Yeah.
You could even be the main support system in that particular family.
But Jeff, having said that, we are ready.
But we are ready,
we are
Jeff.
Prepared.
Those are just challenges.
We are moving forward. Those are challenges, but we are overcoming them.
But the voters and the country, Jeff,
and Wahome Bay will be one of them, and there'll be several others.
At least you agree on one thing, which is, hold on.
That we must increase the number of women.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. At least you agree on something for once.
The parties and the government must partner.
Yeah.
The parties and the government. The government has a role.
Let's see what the people are saying.
Okay.
Let's go to the magic wall and the tweets, my goodness.
We shouldn't bash us too, huh?
No problem.
Here's Cornelius says, ask Mheshimiwa, Wahome, if the deputy president doesn't pick a running mate from the mountain,
what will they do?
Go on.
Okay, the picking of a running mate is not a one-person's affair. It's a party affair and our partners.
So you're just going to leave it like that?
Yeah.
Okay, who's going to be Baba's running mate? Just for
it will not change our, you know.
Okay, what about Baba's?
We have a whole field out there, and we're looking.
Okay.
We hope it can be a woman.
Okay. Jonathan Muller says, to the two leaders, whichever side comes to power, how will they tackle the issue of political intolerance, such as the utterances that seem to pit communities and groups against each other? Good question there, Jonathan.
National cohesion, we have to put people with the right frame to do the work properly. That is one. But we need to maybe speak more about it and tell Kenyans not to tolerate it.
Okay, Mahesh, real quick.
I think we have to deal with it. I think currently The way the law is, handling those who speak incitement is good. We have to tighten it. Lakini pia tuendelee na azimio la umoja.
You had to put that in, huh? Okay. Lester Koff says, kindly ask Madame Alice what the law says with regard to the term of the DP.
The term?
Yeah, can a sitting DP seek to be elected as president before his term is over? Or is he supposed?
Yes, there is a period within which, for the next general elections, you are allowed to either choose a party, another party, and also apply for a fresh term. You must apply it before. So he will continue being a sitting deputy president, like we shall continue being members of parliament. We will not vacate. Parliament does not dissolve as such. Yeah.
Okay, Wycliffe Orwa is asking, does the mass defection of ANC members from the party send any signal to UDA? Should the sentiments by Muthama send some signal to Musalia? I think you mentioned that a little earlier on, right? Go on, Mesh.
We are quite okay. We are very confident. Those are, it's a new marriage. There will be one or two teething problems, but we are capable of dealing with that. And there is no cause of alarm. There is no need for panic. We okay. Muthama was misquoted.
When that statement is made, you know something is terribly wrong.
Yeah, he was misunderstood. He said so.
When a politician says I was misquoted,
he said he was misunderstood.
Exactly how he wishes to have been.
He was misunderstood.
He just needs somewhere to throw the skunk.
Okay. So
we are quite confident. We're doing well. Oh, very well.
Yeah.
Blaise Maura is asking, what an impressive list of socialist agendas by ODM. Quick question. Considering the fact that the country is broke, where are they planning to get the money to finance all of these? More loans?
We are broke.
Higher taxes?
I think we've been very clear on this matter, which is that we must tighten up corruption. We must tighten up corruption. We must deal with corruption firmly. If we do, 300 billion a year will be saved. Surely, can't you fund the agendas we've said? And if we, and apart from that, just tightening up wastage, just dealing with issues of, austerity and focusing more on social security, and that's important. But remember, we are not on social security alone. We are also on industrialization, affordable housing. Baba is big on those as well. Yeah. Today, I just outlined but a few because the show can only accommodate so much. But you know his 10-point agenda. Yeah,
but Jeff, social security has never been an answer to an economy that has been run down. We need to create more money for people to be able to meet their own needs.
And Jeff, that's exactly the point. We are bringing up everyone. How do you bring up everyone? You continue to create wealth, but then your lowest of lowest you don't ignore. No country, even in the developed world, even with big economies, ignores their poor. They give them safety nets so that they are at the same level.
Okay. Someone is saying young women, a lot of them, are watching you right now. If you were to give them one tip for getting into politics, what would it be? You first.
It's doable. They must be resilient. They must be committed to the cause. It's not easy. They will manage.
Yeah. So just believe in yourself and don't think it's about money. Jump in. If you believe in it, follow it. Money will follow you there. We didn't start at having anything, my own experience. No. I started with nothing. And if your ideas are good, they will convince people and people will come on board. So don't be afraid that I don't have the money to join, because that's what's putting off many politicians. Yeah. Engage, engage, engage.
Well put, well put. Lisa Cole is asking, these two ladies, very mature in their debating. I like them all. Honorable Wahome should reconcile with the president.
That's a good point.
It's good.
Yeah, if I beat him, I'll give him a handshake.
And then he says you'll capture your seats and wishing you all the best. Okay. Final thoughts going forward as a nation at this point in time.
Yeah.
Go on. Millions of people are listening and watching you right now.
As a nation, we will have elections on 9th of August. we hope, I believe, and we are putting everything in place for the UDA and its teams to win the next general elections. We will make a difference because we intend to have an economic revolution so that life starts being different this coming September. But we must demand accountability for the new government. We must demand free, fair elections, but Kenyans also must vote. So right now, they must register to be voters. I mean, and I think that is the minimum that we can expect from them.
Yeah.
But we will have free and fair elections, and that's what we're looking for. No monkey business. We must also demand that there should be no violence. And the security teams must not take sides. They must be the neutral security officers that give police service to everybody. We hope we don't see any bloodshed. And that is achievable. I believe it is achievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but our president must remain the statesman in the whole affair, the statesman holding the country together as the contestants take each other on.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. I think, one, people must register. Young people must go out there, get IDs, get your vote. That's your voice, regardless of how you're going to use it. Go out there, register to vote. Secondly, for the young women, the women thinking of joining politics, jump in there. We can't get the seats unless we run. So let us just have the courage to run. If you're thinking of just run. Thirdly, as candidates go around asking for the presidential vote, Kenyans must scrutinize the track record of the candidates that they're following. Have they kept their promises in the past? Do they have a track record of keeping their promises or of broken promises? If somebody gives you a promise and they didn't keep the one for yesterday, don't believe them today. Stick to somebody who has kept their promises, and in this day and for today, we are safe in Baba's hands. It is a legacy of kept promises. Let's go with Azimio la Umoja.
Gladys Wanga, woman rep Homa Bay. And you forgot to say you're running for governor, but I'll just say you're buying.
Yes, running for governor,
Yeah, okay.
And I'm going to come back with a governor.
Of course, I'm running for Kandara constituency for the 3rd term.
Well done.
And of course, I hope for better, I'm looking for better and bigger spaces, political spaces.
Like what?
For me and for women.
Like?
DP.
Even the presidency. But before the presidency, you must
DP. Anatafuta DP. Anatafuta DP.
I told Wanga, that one you are given, lakini inatosha.
Anatosha.
Umesema.
Wengine pia wanatosha.
Wamesikia.
Wengine pia
Azimio, by the way.
Yeah, wengine
we want a woman DP.
Yes. Wengine pia wametosha.
Kina mama washikilie viti.
Wengine pia.
Ladies, it's great talking to you. Thank you for your advice. Thank you for the debate. And thank you for, giving us a lot of hope. And we wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Jeff, for having us. You are most gracious.
Wonderful.
And today you've let us talk. And
Make it more often.
Like I said, you made my job very easy today.
Yes, so much.
Make it more often.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Call me alone. Call her alone. The way you do that, friend of yours, then we can talk about the running mate or governor,
All right. If you're chosen as running mate, then you can come.
No, don't give preconditions. I thought you were partnering with me. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you, ladies. We appreciate it. Have a great week. And keep watching JKLive every Wednesday. Wow. It's going to get even hotter and hotter. I forgot to use the extinguisher here.
I know. You should have.
Next time. Good night. Good luck. God bless you all.
Natosha. Kuna siku nyingine alisema Natosha. Well, you didn't watch that.
Natosha.